Thank you for everybody being here tonight. My name is Christy Cowder DeWeese. I graduated in 1990. I am the president of the Alumni Club, so we very much appreciate you being here. A little bit about me. I know that you guys, some of you were here last year. Born and raised in Worthington, grew up in Colonial Hills, graduated in 90, and I currently work for Worthington School. So kind of born, raised, and stayed here. So I'm glad to be here. So thank you so much for being here. I know everybody's very passionate about Worthington, and I love hearing everybody's stories. So right now, I'm going to go ahead and have Herndon Harding come up and give invocation.
Thanks. So when Lisa asked me to do this, I don't know if I was asked, I was kind of elected to do this. My first thought was revenge. But then I tempered my enthusiasm and thought, what am I going to talk about? And I wasn't sure until I started looking at some of the biographies, thank you, Lisa, that our class was sent around through Linda and Lisa. And as I was reading those, I was struck with all kinds of memories, some of them more gestalt, entire feelings about people that I knew. And those then morphed into very specific kinds of memories that were strangely vivid. Strong things like Mike Chadwell and his brother Randy, and this weird noise that Randy could make that would carry over blocks. It was just astounding. And then that got me thinking of other weird noises, like once sitting in Linda's kitchen and confusing the refrigerator with Dorkin, who is her dog. But the refrigerator was barking, and just things like that. Specific other kinds of things like Nancy's TR6. I don't know if you guys remember Nancy Gates's claret-colored TR6. Was a wonderful car, just super sexy, almost as sexy as walking through the halls when hot pants and halters were permitted. You know, and here we were, 17 and 18-year-old. You know, so it just all these kinds of memories came flooding through. Other kinds of memories, Greg Kester and his jokes like Juneau, the capital of Alaska. You know, it's not. It's Anchorage, but Juneau, yeah. But that was that's Greg's kind of humor. And then, back on? Yeah, I'm back on. Okay. People like, and I told Paul I was going to, specifically, because he's not here, I was going to mention him anyhow. Scott was always very kind to me. He always included me. He was always... I don't know what to do with this, but I'll just speak more loudly. And then people like Lisa, who was a dear friend and always sweetly optimistic, which contrasted my more sardonic optimism. But a great friend, and people and experiences like that, as I was reading the biographies, I thought, man, people really have influenced me, and I know that we've all influenced each other. The anthropologist Gregory Bateson said, man needs others to become himself. And through a process of introjection, by hanging around with people, like if you stand next to a warm fire, you're going to get warm. You don't have to try to be warm. You're going to get warm. If you hang around with people, you're going to become like them. So choose your parents well. Oh, you can't do that. And we couldn't choose who we hung out with entirely in high school because we were all there together. But it turns out this was really a good group of people. And the interjections that we have, the people that we've become because of the people who we were, really is a wonderful thing that should be celebrated. Now, things that are rare are precious, partially because they're just rare. And a lot of the relationships that we had in high school, we're not exercising them as actively, or at least in the same way as we did in high school. So those things are now treasures. They are rare. They are precious. And that's part of what we're doing tonight, is we're celebrating those precious things. Now, it's really good to make new friends because those people become interjected into us and we become more like them as well. But remember, you can't make old friends. We are who we are for each other. And we should celebrate that because that really precious. I'm almost done. So tonight, we should honor those who've passed that were precious to us and who helped us become who we are. But we should also celebrate those of us who are here, and we should try to make this a night of celebration that is one of the best. And I hope it will not only be the best, but it will be the worst of those who come in the future.
Enjoy your dinner. So we just heard the pride of Cardinal Country. They were great. Give them a round of applause again. Thank you, Derek Scholes and Pete Scully, the principal. He was here, so that was very nice of him to be here. At this time, I would like to have Lisa Studer-Baker and Linda Wright-Barber come up to introduce the class of 1973.
And thank you very much. And I am Lisa Studer Smith. Don't know where we got the baker. So anyways, I am just up here to present Linda Wright-Barber. Just like I had Herndon, I delegate. So Linda, thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. So I have a poem that was written by one of our classmates. I don't know who wrote it. Lisa's the only one who knows. They wish to remain anonymous. So these are their words. The class of 73. Do you remember the vague ancient stories, the long ago terrors, the now faded glories, of what made us hopeful, of what made us worry, the faces of friends now just misty and blurry, our favorite TV show, our favorite song? Who would have thought we'd have lived this long? Did all these years give us wisdom to see the value of the class of 73? Before dear Worthington was chic and pristine, there was Adams the druggist, the Dairy Queen, Dennings, Home Market, Old Library, the barber shop, and the confectionery. Graceland was fading, Northland in its prime. Jerry's was a drive-in since Methuselah's time. No real McMansions except Maddock and Riverly. Such was the context of the class of 73. There was no 270, 315 was unknown, just Old Tangy River Road, a high-speed death zone. Powell was but a crossroad, Dublin just a farm. Westerville was full of its small-town charm. And then, of course, Arlington, of athletic fame, which has finally shed its arrogance. No, wait, it's the same. And alas, our dear Worthington has become uptown trendy. But that was the culture of the class of 73. The fortress of Kilbourne was just our 9th grade. The annex was a pit before the Arts Center was made. The high school itself, with its utilitarian decor and its legendary mile-long corridor, which though pre-aerobic made us all walkers as we labored back and forth between classes and lockers. It was during our time that we finally brought the smoking lounge from the bathrooms to the back parking lot. We had many monolithic masters of expression who conveyed expertise and often left an impression. Hacker, Haney, Hoffler, and Pyron, Robinette, Stephan, and our own Smoky Wyan. Roscoe, Billinghurst, Cowgill and Stites, and dear Mr. Guthrie taking physics to new heights. So many others, mere humans though they be, some were giants to the class of 73. In the decades following, we left our folks' houses. There was college, then jobs, and maybe some spouses. We had children who now might have children of their own, and perhaps we'll live long enough to see them all grown. That's what matters at our age, it should be clear. It's about who we are, not how we appear. Or perhaps who we're becoming. We can still walk on, to live and to care, and to love before we're gone. Worthington didn't make us, but it did play a part in shaping our thoughts, in touching our heart. It wasn't perfect, but neither are we. So with the perspective of age, hope you'll agree, it was good to be part of the class of 73.
Thanks, Linda. done. Do you want us to do more? We can
Dance. Dance and sing.
No, I cannot.
Hi, I'm Nikki Nesda, class of '69, and I'm sorry, but I don't have much sympathy for you guys thinking you're so old in the class of '73. I hope I got this right, so let me know if that's not in order. And this is, introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm Barbara Lang Taylor, class of 1950.
Or maybe 76.
I wish.
Okay, so I'm going to announce the class of '73, and Barb's going to present them with their special, what's it called? Special Alumni Certificate. So first we have Kimberly Abram Trail. Huh? For pictures? I'm sorry, I'm short. I keep banging this. Well, you haven't changed. William Adams. Some of these guys were my students when I first started teaching. So you still seem like 15-year-olds to me. Vicki Bartlett Arian. Is that right? Okay. Amy Becker Williams. Amy Bonnell Young. Mary Brown Moore. Rosanna Catella Bash. Mike Chadwell. Nancy Conroy Merrill. Jane Coombs Chadwell. Jim Cottle. Nancy Daniels Faust. Nancy DePaul Husted. She's out. Well, she was unable to make it, but congratulations to her anyway. Mark Foley. Sally Air Segan. Segan? I got it right. Doug Faust. Michael Gallagher. You need this? Herndon Harding. Paul Holmes. Timothy Knox. He's also not here. Congratulations to him anyway. Thomas Marr. Paula McGavro Myers. Oops. Michael Knoll. Steve Rank. Ron Schultz. Nancy Riemenschneider Gaffney. Carol Ross Spang. Nancy Ruvio Allen. Up here, was the year of the Nancys. Ian Seeds. Pete Seeds. Amy Shane Crandall. Lisa Studer Smith. Carol Webb Catlin. Robin White. Linda Wright Barber. And Leonard Zingarelli. And we're impressed that you had such a big turnout, the class of 73. Thank you. Stay put, please. John's going to take your picture.
We have a keynote speaker this evening. I've got to calm down the class of 73. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is TK Seller. I'm a 70 grad. And like most high school teachers, you always remember the first senior class from your teaching days. And I'm very pleased to tell you that we have a very honored guest here tonight who remembers the class of 73 as her first senior class when she was teaching. She just slipped in, and I'm going to embarrass her and embarrass her and introduce you to Bronwyn Ripple Hopton, our theater director for many, many years. Also a Worthington graduate. It's my sincere pleasure to introduce you to Mr. Stan Bohoric Jr. this evening. I was Stan's school counselor during his 4 years at Thomas Worthington High School, and it was a joy working with him, his younger brother, and his parents. Stan graduated from Thomas Worthington in 1999, distinguished himself in many ways, most notably in the theater program. You will be hearing from a Broadway performer this evening. He met his goal of attending the University of Michigan to major in theater, and he graduated with a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Musical Theater in 2003. He earned a master's degree in Arts Administration from Baruch College in 2017. Pardon me. He is currently the Community Engagement and Development Manager at the Georgetown University Davis Performing Arts Center. He's also the co-founder and creative producer of Mind's Eye Producing. Please welcome Stan as he remarks on the roles we play, the people we become. Stan Bohoric.
Thank you, Mr. Seller. Wow, it's a joy and a privilege to be here with all of you. As Mr. Seller mentioned, he was my guidance counselor. He was my guidance counselor, and he wrote my recommendation letter to get into college. And I can still quote the opening lines of that letter. Mr. Seller, what was that? Mr. Seller recommended that I talk about the influences from my time in Worthington and at Thomas Worthington High School and how they played out and impacted my career and my journey. Well, Mr. Seller, you are one of those influences, and I still remember, as I said, the kindness and the love of language that you demonstrated in that recommendation letter, and you are a wonderful influence on my trajectory in my life, so thank you. And thank you for asking me to be here with all of you. All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts, his acts being 7 ages. At first, the infant, mewling and puking in the nurse's arms, and then the whining schoolboy, with his satchel and his shining morning face, creeping like snail unwillingly to school. And then the lover, sighing like furnace, with a woeful ballad made to his mistress' eyebrow. Then a soldier full of strange oaths and bearded like the pard, jealous in honor, sudden and quick in quarrel, seeking the bubble reputation even in the cannon's mouth. And then the justice, in fair round belly with good capon lined, with eyes severe and beard of formal cut, full of wise saws and modern instances. And so he plays his part. The 6th age shifts into the lean and slippered pantaloon, with spectacles on nose and pouch on side, his youthful hose well saved, a world too wide for his shrunk shank, and his big manly voice turning again towards childish treble, pipes and whistles in his sound. Last scene of all, that ends this strange, eventful history, is second childishness and mere oblivion. Sans teeth, sans eyes, sans taste, sans everything. 400 years after Shakespeare wrote As You Like It, Mrs. Hopton taught that text to every student who passed through her theater survey course. And it was the first thing that came to mind when TK asked me to speak. She guided us through a text analysis, teaching us not just what the words mean, but how to interpret them, how to understand the iambic pentameter, and also how to begin to grasp Shakespeare's enormous capacity for language, imagery, and metaphor. Mrs. Hopton is a major influence in my life and in the lives of many. She instilled in us a love of language, a curiosity, and deep appreciation for theater and the arts. This is an auspicious moment to be invited back to Worthington. I lived in New York City for 20 years. I now live in DC. But as the high school is being renovated and so much of the building is being demolished in the coming days, well, I got to visit the high school just yesterday, actually. And as I was walking through, there was a flood of feelings, as others have mentioned, and maybe you felt as you've seen on the video. Sense memory and smells. The cafeteria still smells the same way it did in 1995. But mostly I felt that this was an incredible place to be and to learn and to make theater and to find a community. I was also moved to see the rainbow flag in the main office and along High Street in Worthington. These were not there when I was in high school. And there was one particular poster in the hallway that caught my attention. It said, "We are cards, build relationships, show respect, be responsible." This really struck me. I thought about grabbing that poster and making sure that it made it to the new building, like bringing it home. But it seems like an unofficial sort of mission statement for the school. I don't know if that's true or accurate at all, but it just caught my attention. I reconnected with a handful of classmates from the late 90s, from my era, and I asked them that same question that TK asked me. What were some of the influences from being at Thomas Worthington that impacted you or your career? And first, it was a real joy to learn about them and learn about the various career paths that my classmates have taken. Really astonishing. I talked to Mary Tomer, who's a vice president at Ann Taylor Loft, and she offered that being on the track and field team gave her a purpose, confidence, and a community. Dr. Richard Southgate, who's an orthopedic surgeon who specializes in opioid-sparing joint replacement, he offered that Thomas Worthington High School gave him a framework for how to study and how to carry himself in the world. Brian Turner, who's a vicar at the Church of the Blessed Redeemer, said that Thomas Worthington encouraged him to be his best self and his full self with his parish. April Cunningham, who's a mental health counselor, said that she learned to be curious with those who think differently than she does, and that it empowered her to push for the changes she wants to see in the world. You can hear the commonalities, you can hear a thread there, at least I could. Empowerment and the importance of community. The empowerment reflects the values that were instilled in us, the academic rigor, the curiosity and love of language, and the confidence in our math skills and our musical talents. And these were instilled in us by people, the teachers who had a gift for seeing the possibilities within each student. For me, those were Mrs. Hopton and Mr. Elwood and Mrs. Bookwalter and Miss Dawn Moyer and Miss Karras and Mrs. Griffin and Miss Rose. I also had a deeply loving family, my dad is here, that instilled in me compassion and kindness and paid for a lot of piano and voice lessons. When you combine people with shared values, you get community, and a community that offers individuals a sense of belonging. And that theater community at Thomas Worthington was the first place that I experienced this deep sense of belonging. The US Surgeon General, Dr. Vivek Murthy, just last month released an advisory addressing the, quote, epidemic of loneliness and isolation affecting the whole country. And he laid out a framework for a national strategy to advance social connection, community. As I trace back to the origins of my career, it was this experience at Thomas Worthington, this experience of kinship and affinity, of joy and laughter, of finding my people, that gave me this sense of belonging. And this sense of belonging that would catalyze and fuel my academic and professional pursuits for decades to come. As TK mentioned, when I graduated from Thomas Worthington, I attended the School of Music at that school up north. It says here, hold here for someone to throw a tomato at you. No, you're so generous. Well, at the Harvard of the Midwest, I was one of about 20 students that were admitted into a very rigorous musical theater training program that's often ranked #1 in the country. And the training and the academics, they were intense. But because of the demanding teachers and the access to rich arts education that I had at Thomas Worthington, I was set up for success. Now I'm thinking specifically of Mr. Mark Elwood's he had this insane map drawing assignment that we had to do where we had to draw for a test in class for AP Year History. We had to draw the entire map of Europe before World War I and after World War I with every river, mountain range, capital city, and changing border. It was insane. Or the AP Music Theory class that Jerry Parsons taught, in which we had to notate music by ear. This exact ear training was part of my advanced music theory courses at the School of Music at Michigan. It was because of these intense academics in high school that I was set up for success in college. And Michigan then set me up for further success. The professors were devoted professionals, and I was surrounded by a competitive peer group, another community, one that challenged me to strive to that next level. So I moved to New York City when I graduated, and I booked the first 2 auditions that I went to, one being the national tour of Rent. And I also got to sign with an agent. I toured the country and came to Columbus, Ohio, with the Tony Award-winning revival of Big River, a show that featured a cast that included actors who were deaf and hearing, and the show was performed simultaneously in American Sign Language and in English. This was another community that I found myself in that came together around the transformative power of theater and language. I made my Broadway debut when I was 26 years old, starring as Leaf Coneybear in the Tony Award-winning musical, the 25th Annual Putnam County Spelling Bee, and over the next 5 years, I appeared in 5 off-Broadway productions, and I found myself working in rooms with some of the greatest living composers, actors, designers, and theater makers. Michael John LaChiusa and Ken Ludwig and Stephen Sondheim, Tanya Pinkins, Bill Finn, Stephen Schwartz. For me, being in the company of these great artists that I revered was making it, because I had made it into a community of great artists. I would not have been in those rooms working with those people at that level if I had not had the experience in the theater classes with Mrs. Hopton, or with my friends Brianne Bornstein and Brad Bartelt, even throwing out names from your class. I want to do it now. Nate Williams and Lindsay Chambers and Jess Locker and Sarah Calvi, my high school prom date who's here recording for my mom. In 2013, I met the man who would become my husband, Ethan Hurd, and we had talent crushes on each other from the very beginning, underpinned by a deep respect for each other's artistic interests and sensitivities and capabilities. My acting career was solid at that point. I was working hard and working consistently, but it was Ethan who helped me to see that there was something more that I wanted to offer. And he supported me as I went back to graduate school and got a master's degree in arts administration. And in 2020, together we co-founded a company, Mind's Eye Producing, bringing our passion for artistic innovation and creative problem solving to sectors beyond arts and culture. Our company has helped organizations gather together and raise over $750,000 in the past 3 years since 2020. And just last month, I was in San Francisco attending a conference that we helped to plan that brought together over 400 thought leaders working for land conservation and climate resilience. It's deeply gratifying work because I can feel the beauty and the power of bringing these people and ideas together to empower this community. There is another influence from my experience in Worthington that I reflected on as I prepared for tonight, and that is what was not present. In the late 90s, when I was attending Thomas Worthington, there were things that were not there, that were missing. Racial and ethnic and socioeconomic diversity, active discussions about these. There was also missing an entire generation of role models, teachers, mentors, artists, friends, the generation that we lost to AIDS, the inheritance they are buried. There was no gay-straight alliance. There was no rainbow flag in the main office or along the streets of Worthington. These just weren't there for me. They were missing or not accessible. How good it is to return and see how the community has evolved over these past 2 decades. At Georgetown, I work in community engagement and development. And when I arrived, my office was painted light purple. I liked it, and now I call it the Lavender Lounge. And in my first year of working there, many lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer students have sat in my office. They just seem to find their way there. They want to talk and ask questions. They definitely want to air grievances. They want to get my opinions about a production of Pippin that they're thinking of directing next year. They come for advice and real talk and for kindness, I think. And above all, I'm proud of this, of these moments and interactions, because of this opportunity that I now have to provide for them a joyful place, a place where they can experience queer mentorship and find empowerment and community. We are cardinals. We build relationships, show respect, and we be responsible. That poster that hangs, I really do hope that it moves into the new building. But I know that if the poster itself doesn't make it, the message will. What an incredible legacy. There are hundreds and hundreds of us, graduates of these Worthington high schools, who have brought care and authenticity into our work to build relationships, show respect, and be responsible. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to return to Worthington, to be here with you all tonight and to reflect. As you celebrate and think about our community and the interconnectedness through the generations, I want to close by sharing a poem with you by David Whyte, the Irish poet and philosopher. So this is Everything is Waiting for You. Your great mistake is to act the drama as if you were alone. As if life were a progressive and cunning crime with no witness to the tiny, hidden transgressions. To feel abandoned is to deny the intimacy of your surroundings. Surely even you at times have felt the grand array, the swelling presence, and the chorus crowding out your solo voice. You must note the way the soap dish enables you, or the window latch grants you freedom. Alertness is the hidden discipline of familiarity. The stairs are your mentor of things to come. The doors have always been there to frighten you and invite you. And the tiny speaker in the phone is your dream ladder to divinity. Put down the weight of your aloneness and ease into the conversation. The kettle is singing even as it pours you a drink. The cooking pots have left their arrogant aloofness and seen the good in you at last. All the birds and creatures of the world are unutterably themselves. Everything is waiting for you. Thank you.
Well, that's kind of hard to, take over from Stanley. Stanley, thank you so much for being here. You make, I'm sure, TK proud and Bronwyn and all of your teachers. So, people who are leaving Worthington are doing great things. Tonight we have 111 alumni in attendance. We have classmates that are here from 1953, and we have classmates who are here from 1993 from Worthington Kilbourne. So we have our classes that are coming together. We just recently graduated almost 800 students from Thomas Worthington and Worthington Kilbourne. And as of today, I am getting people from that class emailing me with their contact information. So we reached out to each of the schools and we asked them to provide their information. So we want them to become part of our alumni. So when I stand here and I listen to your stories, I like to take those stories into those kids, and then those kids can, move it on. So I really appreciate everything that you guys do to support Worthington. We have a lot of classes here that are represented. We have the class of 63. We have a lot of people from 63. We have a lot of people from 64. Class of 70. Obviously 73, so thank you for coming. You guys have another big night tomorrow. We do have other alumni groups. We have a class of 80 that's having something tonight, and class of 90 is doing something tomorrow. So people are coming together and sharing those stories. Again, there were a lot of you that probably came to Worthington. I know that Mark was showing the tour stuff. So hopefully you got a chance to get over to Thomas Worthington to get one last look of it. It was really cool to be there listening to people's stories. It was fun. I ran into a student who graduated in 2003, and she brought her husband, and the whole time she's like, this is where I did this, and this is where I did that. And he finally looked at me and he goes, really? He goes, I wish I would have graduated from Worthington. So that is cool, that people are sharing those stuff. We also have to remember those who could not be here with us tonight. I'd like to remember those classmates who could not be with us tonight. Their memories are a part of us and live forever in our hearts. In your program, we do have the names of the classmates who have passed away this year. In your program, there is a poem, and I'd like to read it. and it's called Time. Time cannot steal the treasures that we carry in our hearts, nor ever dim the shining thoughts our cherished past imparts. For the memories of the ones we love still cast a gentle glow to grace our days and light our paths wherever we may go. So please keep those who could not join us tonight. Of course, now it comes with the not so fun part is to do a board of election or do election stuff for our alumni. I do want our board members that are here tonight. For our board members that are here tonight, can you please stand up? Thank you. I want to personally thank them for all their hard work for tonight and everything that you guys do during the year. We do meet on a monthly basis. So, we're trying to do more things and get more people involved. So we always want to hear from you. On our website, we do have an email address. So if you have information that you want to share out, we'd love to hear from you. Right now, we have some people who are ending their 3-year term, and that is myself, Karen Sonar-German, John Snoffer, Susie Bunnell, Amber Chucky Bashong, and Emily Bayard. Emily and Amber they have joined our board. They're from the Thomas Worthington class of 2014. So they have joined us and they want to continue on. So both myself, Karen, John, Amber, and Emily are showing interest to carry on a new 3-year term. Susie is going to be retiring after tonight, and we'll really miss her. Susie couldn't be here tonight, so she's done a lot of great things for the alumni. So at this time, I'd like to move to re-elect Christy and Karen and John and Amber and Emily to serve another 3-year term ending in June of 2026. Do we have a motion? Do I have a second? Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Anybody in oppose? Very good. Motion is carried. Congratulations for everybody staying on. We really appreciate you. We have a special guest here tonight. I would like to have Paul Landis, who is from the class of 53. If I could please have John come up here. I mean, not John, Paul. If you could please come up here. It's all you. You're welcome.
I didn't realize when I walked in, I'm the oldest guy here. I expected to see people from other classes, but it's quite an honor, and I appreciate Christy giving me an opportunity to tell you a little bit about a book I just wrote. We go Dallas, Texas, November 22nd, 1963, 12:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. A beautiful Friday afternoon in Dallas turns into a day that no Secret Service agent ever wants to experience: the assassination of a president of the United States. I was in Dallas that day. I was a 28-year-old special agent in the Secret Service. I was riding in the Secret Service follow-up car, right behind President Kennedy's limo. I saw assassin's bullet strike the president in the head. His head exploded in a pink mist of blood, flesh, gray brain matter. We raced to Parkland Memorial Hospital, where I was in trauma room 1, while a valiant attempt was made to save the president's life. I flew back to Washington on Air Force One with the president's body. I witnessed Vice President Johnson being sworn in as the 36th President of the United States. We reached Washington, and the rest of the weekend was just a blur of activities between Bethesda Naval Hospital, the White House, Capitol Building, St. Matthew's Cathedral, and Arlington National Cemetery. I was never interviewed by the Warren Commission after witnessing all this. The reason I was in Dallas was I was assigned to Mrs. Kennedy, First Lady. I was one half of her protection detail. I was with her, assigned to her during the Cuban Missile Crisis. I was with her when she lost Patrick, her baby. 4 weeks before I was in Dallas, I was on a 17-day cruise through the Greek Isles on Aristotle Onassis' yacht, the Christina. That trip ended with 3 days in Marrakesh, Morocco, where we stayed in Prince Hassan's palace. Excuse me. Anyway, after 60 years, I've got somebody else's notes here. You've already heard that part. Anyway, you can read all about my book, The Final Witness. A former Kennedy Secret Service agent breaks his silence after 60 years. It's to be released October 10th in conjunction with President Kennedy's 60th anniversary of the assassination. So I just appreciate the opportunity to talk about this. The book's available on Amazon now and Barnes & Noble. Release date's October 10th. So that's all. Thank you.
Again, Worthington grads doing great things. Thank you so much for your service. So thank you all so much for being here tonight. I appreciate everything that you do. Feel free to stay, mingle, socialize, take all the time that you want. So I want to end the night tonight with a song written by Brian Wilson from the class of '70 that he wrote about Worthington. Have a nice evening.
Driving through my old hometown of Worthington, seeing what remains the same, dreaming of the days and the friends that I had.